Well, what else are you going to do in the morning when it's 6:30, waiting for a plane, then do your opening for the for the week's videos? Man, oh man, I was going to do some videos yesterday, but they did pretty cool. I find them kind of annoying actually, but they work good and they sound good, so it is what it is. So I was going to do you guys some videos yesterday, and I was very, very tired. You know, every so often this summer, for whatever reason, maybe I just had a tough week, maybe I'd just been running the roads, or maybe just had a long day. I wake up the next day and I was just exhausted. And that's how I felt when I was going to Indianapolis. Now I wanted an early flight so I could get into Indy quick, get a hotel close to the airport, because for those of you who've ever flown into Indianapolis and gone to Anderson, Indiana, you'll know that it's an hour or thereabouts to the racetrack. So I wanted to stay close to the airport, get a nap in the afternoon, wake up as fresh as I could, and go drive Spirited Dio. You know, when you look at the program, you can't really say, gee, she had a great year. You know, she put, what, 40 some thousand on her card or something. She really did have a good year. And last night, firstly, I put Trace Dietrich on the horse. I told her to put Trace Dietrich on the horse, and Trace took Irv's other horse. It was funny last night. We pull up, and we're going back into the driver's room, and Trace said, "No more bike rentals for you." I borrowed his bike. I said, "Why?" He goes, "You flattened my tire coming out of the last turn." Really? Usually, you know, put a little clunk. You know, if you're unlucky, the horse will make a break. But she never put a step in. And honestly, I've hit enough tires in my life. You usually know when you do. And it never dawned on me that I did. It certainly didn't feel like it. He said, "Yeah, you flattened my tire." I said, "Well, I'm sorry." I said, "But in fairness, you were listed on this horse. Had you driven this horse, you would have got money, and your tire would still be inflated. So really, it's your fault that you have a flat tire right now." So he was. He didn't find it as amusing right away as I did. Anyway, it didn't matter. His horse was done. He wasn't getting any money. But Spirited Dio, she got what she was going to get with that trip last night. I was so happy she busted out of the gate. And Guinevere Hall's had a long year, and I really didn't want to cut him loose. And then I said, you know, I'll cut him loose and I'll remove. But I could see one where the horses were shaping up going into the turn. You can look up and see the TV. And I knew that Dave Miller was sitting behind me. I knew that Dexter had got away close. Both of these guys are going to be moving early. For me to move this filly, now leave with her, loop back around to the lead, David Miller's coming right away. So in a sense, what I'm doing is saying, I'm going to go around a horse that's been great all year in Guinevere Hall, remove to the front, knowing full well that as second I touch down in the front, here comes Dave Miller, and potentially here comes Dexter Dunn with the favorite. It was a spot I wish I had over. But it's racing. We all wish we had those spots over. I think if I let her try and manhandle that field the way she's done other fillies this year, I'm first or second. If I loop over to the front and Dave doesn't quite get to me and I just burn him into the ground, maybe Dexter beats me, but I guarantee you this filly's trotting the wire. That's not usually Spirited Dio's thing, right? Remember, all her races, think back. Down the lane, she hasn't been closing like a freight train. She's manhandled and beat up horses and then just coasted to the wire, right? This is the first time where I actually had to maneuver in a straightaway out in traffic, hit a wheel apparently, and then her sprint to the wire. And she was sprinting to the wire for a big, big girl. Brian Sears had me beat halfway down lane. She come back on. She's beat a neck for second, and I watched the replay, and the horse that was in behind me ended up getting up the inside, but she's like a little mouse. She just kind of snuck through there. If I'd have stayed along the rail, would I have snuck through in the same way? Maybe. I guess in what I'm saying is my only regret of last night is that I didn't try and bully those fillies, because going into the race, how could you? That was a massive step up in competition for Spirited Dio. I wish we had another 2 months to race against them instead of that being her last start of the year. And I don't think I've ever been as eager for a 4-year-old season in my life as I have been for Spirited Dio. She looked like she belonged with good fillies last night, and I think she's going to have an incredibly fortuitous 4-year-old season. She's just a very, very nice filly, and I think she proved that last night. Maybe not to the general public or the naked eye, but for anybody that was watching Spirit of Dio last night, one, she doesn't usually leave like that. Two, she sat in the hole. And three, for a big filly that isn't attuned, isn't used to weaving through and sprinting on the end of the mile, that really was an incredible mile for that filly last night. Speaking of incredible miles, White Tiger went a huge mile. We've been waiting for this. This is nothing new, right? This is White Tiger bubbles up every so often. Now, it took a long time for him to hit that stride the other day. But anytime you can move White Tiger where he's in a position to jump on beat up horses and dead horses, he will. And that's how he looks. Now, if the inside horse or the horse too wide tussled with him a little bit, would he have still put them away in the same manner? I don't know. Maybe not. But 54-1 on a day when it was cold and windy was a huge mile. That 30 seconds on the end of it, I certainly didn't come 30 seconds, but that was into a wind and a big mile for White Tiger nonetheless. Very happy with him. Now, keeping on that trend, we had some real issues in Tim's barn with high GGTs, high liver counts, and he's trying to figure out whether it came from the hay or what it came from, but it's a problem. Oso Pine, I couldn't figure out why he was so flat off such a good mile. Pull his blood and he had an incredibly high liver count. It's supposed to be 25 or less. His was 160, 159, coming off a week where Bottle of Red was scratched because hers was 150. Now, keeping with that trend, Arctic Force was flat yesterday. We took his blood on race day. His GGT level was on the very tip, 35, which is right on the tip of being too high. And I said, Tim said, geez, he trained great this week. I assumed he'll be good. And then to race the way he did, that was probably one of his worst miles of the year. Scoping healthy, there's a little bit of mucus, but not like that. You can tell. Go back and look at Oso Pine's race 2 weeks ago. Go back and look at his race the other day. Compare the two, right? Then go look at how Arctic Force has been racing. Look at yesterday's race. That's what high liver counts do to horses. And we have a number of horses with still elevated. Bottle of Red's liver count is still just above 100. And it's slow to move, right? This isn't a muscle count. This is a reaction in the liver. It's not something that's easily fixed, and that's not to say that we're talking months or weeks. We might be talking a couple weeks. Bottle of Red will school next week, but schoolers are on Thursday. Enter for Wednesday on Friday. I hope she's a Wednesday horse. I'd like to get a schooler into her before we decided to drop her in the box because I'm worried that elevated liver count may knock him down. But this is what Tim's dealing with, and he's doing his best to get these horses cleared up. But for now, and then Simba won, but he was head and shoulders above, better than those horses, and didn't really look head and shoulders above though. He just looked like he was out for an afternoon jog. So, did he have something going on too? I don't know, but he won pretty handily. That helps this morning. I know it helps in the morning. I notice caffeine will help early in the morning. It will help keep you awake. So what's coming up this week? I'm pretty well done in the States now. The sales are done. Stakes are all done. We still have a number of horses in Pennsylvania. We're just trying to clean that barn up. We get a number of horses that going out. I didn't want Rose Run. Why not? There's another horse. I didn't want to end her season with a 37-2 last quarter. That's for sure. So we'll see what we're going to do with Rose Run. Why not? At the same time, if she needs to go out in the field, somebody said, well, they only got 3 starts. They were all broke in October. It's November. These horses have been going for 13 months, just so you know. So it doesn't matter whether they have 3 starts or 9 starts or 12 starts. It's a big deal. So a number of horses will be going out from Tim's barn. We did have some horses up for sale. We thought we had Arctic Force sold. And of course, what happens when horses don't race good? The phone doesn't come. So we are simply going to have to wait for Changing the Guard. Bottle of Red. Changing the Guard drew 9 and is 20-1 on Monday or Tuesday. Changing the Guard, Arctic Force, Bottle of Red. Those 3 horses were listed for sale. I need those horses to start racing good, and they'll be sold if they are. But nobody's going to go and jump in and buy a horse off a flat line. So we're going to need some sharper lines on those horses. That's where we're at with Tim's barn. Tim will keep some horses over there for the winter, but for the most part, like the White Tiger, there's no need for him to come home right yet, I don't think. and the way he has them hung up. Everybody knows where the hobbles. Tim set the hobbles the other day, so the hobbles are good. And there's good drivers over there also. So hopefully I don't have to go anywhere for a bit. I like to focus on getting these babies going, getting a drone for our clients. I know you guys are waiting for a drone today for the stable. I'm gonna have to send a message out. I forgot I did not. You're waiting for a drone, but the other problem was these are horses, right? Amy called me and James told me that there was a number of high temperatures and coughing horses in the burn. Factor that in with you're not going to get a chance to see the horses we just bought. Why don't we just do it next week? So it doesn't look like Saturday's a go for Curtis, so we'll probably bring you these on Wednesday. I suspect we'll have a drone on Wednesday. See if we can get all these guys under the drone for you guys so you can get a look at them. Get a look at what we did at the sale. So far we talked about White Tiger, the high GGTs, Simba. Tuesday though, I can't do it Tuesday because I am flying to Dover Downs just for the day. Relax, Amy's okay. I'm going to leave at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'll be back at 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to fly to Delaware, the state of Delaware, to drive Jazzy Judy. So we talked about Spirit of Dio. No free lunch was good in the final. Should he have won the final? Yep, should have won that final. James drove him great. He got everything his own way and he got beat fair and square. If he looked like the same horse he did the week before, he runs off the screen with the earplugs in his ears. That's frustrating, but at the same time, here's a colt that struggled in the heat and the allergies in the summer, had an opportunity to end the year with $65,000 made, ended up with 52, but not a bad year for no free lunch, and clearly a colt that can pace 52 as a 2-year-old is a colt that we want to keep an eye on as a 3-year-old. So, what else do we have? Oh, last night I watched London at the end of the night. Brave World looked great for being a horse for a horse that got away 7th, closed into speed down the lane, finished 4th. And Time Houdini, they didn't chart him with a break, but that was an optional call. I don't know. He looked like he made a break to me going into the first turn, but he definitely got out of gear and got rough. He looked like he was going to get away 3rd and keep coming to the front, and instead he ended up getting away last. So I was very happy with the way Kevin had Time Houdini, had Brave World. As I said, Tim's trying to get his barn cleaned up from this high liver count. A great year that ended last night for Spirit of Dio. One more start for Globetrotting next Thursday in the Matron. And that's about it on the racehorse side. Now, as I said, on the sale side, pretty good week, I would say. Somebody asked, I'll start with this. Somebody had asked me, hey, where'd Tricks Up His Sleeve go? I don't see him on the site anymore. Well, we had bought the New Jersey bred on day 1. Obviously, we'll get to that in a minute. And then on day 2, we had Tricks Up His Sleeve we purchased. Now, this was a beautiful Trixton colt that I liked very much. First foal from a full sister, I believe, or a half sister to Royalty for Life. Very good looking colt, and I had looked at this colt in the summer and liked him. Problem is, we got a ton of Trixtons. I was happy to buy him for 7. Then Scott Ray had called me and offered a little bit of a profit for the horse to sell him to him. It was enough that I said, it's not very often we can make a profit before we ever have a horse in the burn, and I was offered to make a profit on 3-Point Blue Chip. I'll tell you that in a minute. But when it came to Tricks Up His Sleeve, we had a number of Trixtons, we had a number of New Jersey breds, then we ended up getting Spirit of Dio's sister also, so now we're piling on with the New Jersey breds again. We were offered to make a small profit on the colt that we bought the day before, and I chose to take it. So our clients and partners on Tricks Up His Sleeve got a little profit, got a little dividend, a little drink right off the bat before they ever got to see the horse. So we had sold Tricks Up His Sleeve privately after the sale, so he's no longer with us. Take him off the board. And then a lot of people asked about Harvard Yard. Where's Harvard Yard? Or as I made fun of Dan Rawlings in my video the other day, Harvard Yard. Harvard Yard is with Tim. Now, this is an interesting thing. I'll start with this. Tim went down to get a horse, didn't get any of the horses he wanted, and we've built a pretty good friendship first of all from Tim and I, but a real good working relationship. And I enjoy having the horses with Tim. He's easy to deal with, he's easy to talk to, and he's a good hard-working horseman. So, I kind of felt a little bad, and I wanted to make sure that Tim got another Pennsylvania bred yearling in his barn. I had bought this filly, and Tim was sitting there with Jason Petrie and Hold the Line Stables, and they were looking to buy a yearling or two. and they didn't get one, not for the price they wanted. I had this filly that was laid at the sale also, and I said, hey, if you want, you guys can buy whatever you want of this filly, and I'll talk to our clients, you, about splitting this filly with Tim. So no, she won't be under a drone, but you'll have videos and updates of Harvard Yard through Tim and Jason. Lots of social media, lots of communication with those guys also. So if you're out there and you liked Harvard Yard, which by the way you should, go back and look at the video I put up of Harvard Yard on YouTube and the pictures on Facebook. This is a beautiful, beautiful filly, very well-bred filly. Lots of money in the first, second, and third dam, lots of speed all throughout. So if you're looking for a fairly inexpensive yearling, she was $15,000 American USD. If you're looking for a fairly inexpensive yearling, and you're maybe in the Pennsylvania area or somewhere close to the Meadows, Tim runs a great ship. Him and Jason do a great job. They have taken half of Harvard Yard. Stable.ca has taken half, so I think we'll just try and have to fix it up so she lands on our website. With the understanding that she is not at Tamiko Training Center, nor will she be. She is with Tim Twaddle and Jason in Washington, Pennsylvania at the Meadows, and that's where she will train down. So I'm interested, I can tell you that. I really like the filly, and I'm really excited to stay in business with these guys because they've done a real good job and been good to us all year long. So that is Harvard Yard. She'll be going up in this. I just wanted to make it abundantly clear before we put her up on the site. This is a filly that's not with us. We don't generally do this. I frown on this and steer away from it. But at the same time, this is a different situation, and I'm happy to work with Tim and Jason to get this done. Let's talk about the horses we got really quickly. So I get to the sale, and you guys know I was being pretty coy about going to the sale. I didn't really want to talk about what I was going to bid on, what I was looking at, because I had a number of horses on my list that were going to be high price items. They were going to be expensive horses. A 3-point blue chip I thought would bring $250,000, $300,000, which is well outside what I was able or willing to pay for the horse. So I didn't want to get everybody's hopes up and say, oh, we're looking at Plunge Blue Chip's brother. We're looking at Crystal Fashion's full sister. I didn't want to get anybody's hopes up. I quietly went and looked at the horses. I was happy with them. So when Crystal Fashion's sister went through, if you notice, she went for $37,000. That was a pretty good buy for day one. They're at 35, 35, 35. The guy's looking at me. He's trying to suck me in for $5,000. I said, give me two. Give me $37,000. And we ended up getting the filly. So we saved $3,000 right there, so to speak. But on day one, to get a filly like that was really good. I talked to Jim Campbell that night. I'd walked into the steakhouse across the street from the hotel, and who was sitting at the bar by himself with a laptop with Jim Campbell. And I looked at him. I said, I thought I was the only guy that sat at the bar by himself I had my iPad the night before looking at yearling videos. He said, well, that's horse racing for you. He said, you made a couple of good buys today. He said, that filly was a very good-looking individual. He said, Jules, so Fashion Farms just as a thing about buying siblings, and I had talked him into buying the full brother to Crystal Fashion, and I don't think he turned out as well as he'd hoped. So, Jim's a very professional guy, very, very intelligent guy, and he had nothing but good things to say about Will to win Hanover, and at $37,000, I mean, that right there was pretty well bought, I believe. That's a full sister to a world champion with $1.9 million made, who beat up on Lawmaker for the most part of his life and was the favorite in the Hambletonian the year he raced in it. So, pretty good family to say the least.
American Airlines is paging Chase Kramer.
Just want to listen for my flight. And then 3-point blue chip comes in the ring. So number 89, we had a number of clients with us at Timonium, and we had
American Airlines ticket counter.
A bunch of us was walking around now. The property was sprawling, horses everywhere. I went and sat in the back tent, just sat by myself. I just snuck away from it. This horse was going in. I didn't want to make a big deal about bidding on 3-point blue chip because I didn't think I'd get him. I'm not going to $250,000 or $300,000 on the horse. So the bidding starts on 3-point blue chip, 20, 30, 40, and now it's going to take off. I bid 50 anyway. If nothing else to say, hey, I bid on 3-point blue chip, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, right away, and I'm like, he's gone. And then all of a sudden, 95. Light goes off, and I was 95, 100, 105, like they're down to $5,000 bids on this horse. 105, 110, 110, 110. This guy's looking at me. I bid one time after that, 115. So just as I bid 115, around the corner come our clients. They see that I'm in there. So Mark sits down beside me and he says, I think he said, who's next? And I said, just 1 second. And he looks up at the board. He goes, yeah, okay, you're bidding on this one, are you? And just as he says it, the hammer goes down. Bang, $115,000 sold. And I looked at him, I said, not anymore. And, truthfully speaking, it had set in at that point that I didn't talk to anybody about the 3-point blue chip. No one. Not a human. Not my wife, not Mark, not anyone. But I knew that this was a horse that was worth probably well over twice what I just paid for him. And we had got him for whatever reason we got him. And I'll tell you what, Tom Grossman had messaged me after and said, you stole that horse, whatever. But breeders always say that, so I'm not really paying attention to him. The next day, 2 people had called me, to ask what was wrong with the colt, why he only went for 115. I said, nothing. Got him like 3 times. And then, I don't want to drop names, a big owner, a big stable, came and asked me to sell the horse at a profit. Now the profit was $10,000. But as I said to them, we can't replace this horse and what this horse has just done for the stable.ca with $10,000. It's impossible. You can't do it. So I looked and I said, furthermore, if I was to replace this horse, looking at the catalog, there's no pedigree left in the sale that would even remotely border on what we just purchased. So I think I'm going to have to decline. And I got to the sale, and Tom said, you know how I know you made a good purchase yesterday in that colt? I said, how? He said, because tons of people have had him out. I said, I hope you don't mind. And I said, no, that's fine. He said, more people have had him out today than they had out yesterday afternoon. So, just a good purchase. Then the day now, I've spent a lot of money. Now I'm starting to, vibrate a little bit. Next day comes, Luck of the Dragon. Everybody wanted a Fear the Dragon or Down by the Seaside. This was a beautiful, beautiful Fear the Dragon colt. Very, very well bred, out of a world champion again in Luck of Michelle. Easy purchase for him. That was $38,000. And then along came Peanut Butter and Jelly. Now, Peanut Butter and Jelly, just a gorgeous filly. This is a Better's Delight. Now, the little trick here. One of the owners of the brother to Peanut Butter and Jelly had called me and said, Anthony, I don't know if you know this or not, I have, Kenny Frieder had said, I have, Brad had this Control the Moment brother, thought very, very highly of him, and had to have an OCD removed, and they shut him down for the year, but very good horse. This is the sister. She's a giant for Better's Delight, and she looks like a colt. She looks amazing. I thought she'd bring 40, and I wouldn't have paid 40 for her just because of what went on. But I'll pay 18 for her all day long. So Peanut Butter and Jelly was ours. Then Spirit of Dio's sister came in, and Mark had said to me, how much are you going? I said, I don't know. And right away it went 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then I jumped in, 35. Boom, hammer went down 2 minutes later. That was weird. So we ended up with the filly for 35, which is more than fair, especially considering what she did last night. Her full sister did last night. An incredibly good looking filly, very, very lucky and happy to have her. And then on the last day, I told you guys I was all done. I wanted one horse. I only bought Harvard Yard, as I said, I bought the horse with the intention of working with Tim to get the horse to Tim, just because I wanted to make sure Tim had a couple of babies too. And Harvard Yard was easy, but that wasn't for the stable technically. I was happy to keep her. That wasn't for us, at least on the northern side of the border. Twinbee Habanero was. So I wanted 2 horses. I loved Hayesville 605, who was a Huntsville brother to So Admirable. Loved the horse. But before him, just the way the sale worked out, before him was Twinbee Habanero, and Twinbee Habanero was so good looking. Man, oh man, this was a good looking horse. Couldn't be happier with Twinbee Habanero. Beautiful, so surreal. His sister made almost 100. The update went from 4 to almost to 95,000 on the year. And the number. So we had Twinbee Habanero was a so surreal, a sister to Twinbee Sunkissed, who did very well. She was a Sunshine Beach, and I'm sorry, but that's an upgrade definitely to a so surreal. This colt was incredibly good looking and another very, very easy purchase. So we bought 6. We got Will to Win Hanover, full sister to Crystal Fashion. We got 3 Point Blue Chip, a half brother, not only to Splash Blue Chip, but world champion Plunge Blue Chip, $1.4 million made in her life. Luck of the Dragon, out of a world champion, Luck of Michelle. Peanut Butter and Jelly, Bredder's Delight filly, very, very well bred, good looking filly in her own right. $18,000 for her. Well, just go look at the averages for Bredder's Delight, you tell me. Garden State Dio, full sister to Spirit of Dio, slam dunk there. And then Twin Bee Habanero, sister to, or brother to Twin Bee Sunkissed, and just an incredibly good looking horse. So a good Timonium sale. That was 6 horses that fit in very, very well in our barn, and I couldn't be happier. So that is it for your opening. That is it for the sale. That is it for the racing. I'm looking forward to getting home, sleeping in my bed, seeing my wife and kids. Tuesday I will not be present in Canada as I'm going to drive Jazzy Judy, but I'm excited to drive her also. So that is it. We'll talk to you guys soon. As I get to the next airport, I'll start on more videos for you.